Bass, all right, we are going to eliminate his largest bass. That's the rule, but it clearly states, doesn't it?
He's got 6 fish. Oh, 6 bass.
What's the rule say on it? Oh, come on, that's a darn gizzard shad.
Claude Fish Fishburne of Canton, Georgia.
That's
certified crazy. The clown prince of professional bass fishing. He's off the wall, out of control.
Jeez.
But has he lost his mind? This is serious business. The biggest, richest bass fishing tournament in captivity. The $474,000 BASS Megabucks fish-off with $70,000 to the winner. When you're casting for that much cash, even a clown gets serious. But with Claude Fish Fishburne, be ready for anything.
That is a nice one.
Megabucks 95, a 6-day elimination tournament where the top 10 survivors go rod to rod on South Carolina's Lake Murray for the biggest payday on the Bassmaster Tournament Trail. This 50,000-acre impoundment on the Saluda River is a bass angler's fantasy world. Big bass abound. Where else in a 4-day qualifying tournament would you need over 62 pounds just to make the top 10 finalists? And an impressive lineup it is for the closing 2 rounds of Megabucks 95. Tommy Biffle of Wagner, Oklahoma, the defending Megabucks champion, with the #1 qualifying score, 73 pounds 10 ounces, a whopping total for 20 bass.
So I'm just going to try to get last year out of my mind other than a few key places. And I got lucky and drawed the same hole that I started in last year, so I'm just hoping for the best.
The #2 qualifier, Robert Tucker of Texas, with 73 pounds 7 ounces.
Things been going good for me, and hopefully they'll just continue, but I'm just glad to be here.
2-time Angler of the Year, Jimmy Houston, scored 73 pounds 3 ounces in qualifying 3rd.
This is going to be a lot of fun. I've caught a lot of fish all week. The lake's got a lot of good quality fish in it.
Gary Klein, another former Angler of the Year, weighed in 68 pounds 10 ounces to claim the #4 spot. 5th-ranked Scott Martin, a rookie pro from Leesville, South Carolina, qualified with 67 pounds 6 ounces. Veteran pro Basil Bacon of Missouri has a total of 66 pounds 6 ounces to land the #6 berth.
I'm going to go home and gear up for everything I know and see if 25 years of experience is worth anything.
Team Grandma's Fish Fishburne had a big day to grab the #7 slot with 65 pounds 13 ounces.
Had a big day, had 18 pounds today, and I caught them on a crankbait. I'm not going to reveal the brand, I'm not going to reveal the color until after the fact. Because if we can pull this one out, like we did 2 weeks ago at Seminole, I will actually be able to pay Grandma back.
#8 qualifier Terry Baxay of Connecticut jumped all the way from 19th into the finals. Today, he caught 21 of his 65 pounds 10 ounces. With 64 pounds 13 ounces, Mike Worm of Arkansas ranks 9th in the qualifying. And he's hot.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. But almost excited was for the Classic last year.
The #10 finalist, Clark Wendelin of Texas, made it with 62 pounds 13 ounces and a good knowledge of fishing grass.
Well, I heard there's no grass in this creek, but we hadn't seen it yet.
Tomorrow morning, the top 10 start out all even. The qualifying scores erased. 2 rounds to go with $70,000 first place on the line. The past 4 days, the pros fished with amateur partners. Now they'll work with an observer judge in the boat. Amateur division champion Peter Maffey Jr. of Columbia, South Carolina, despite not landing a keeper bass today, held on to win the $19,000 Ranger bass boat. Total weight, 41 pounds, 13 ounces. Stay tuned. The Bassmasters will be right back with bass catching action from Megabucks 95 at Columbia, South Carolina and Lake Murray, home of the Leapin' Lunker Largemouth. In the world of professional bass fishing, there are tournaments and Then there's Megabucks, a unique format where anglers are judged by a stopwatch. How many productive casts can be made in 50 minutes to cover all the fish-catching possibilities in a designated area? Over the next 2 days, we'll learn the answer. For the past 4 days, the BASS Megabucks contenders have fished the length and width of Lake Murray's 50,000 acres of bass-rich waters. This morning, they're confined into a 10-hole course in Beards Creek, an area that's been off-limits thus far to tournament anglers. By the luck of the draw, the 10 finalists were assigned a starting hole. The time limit for fishing each hole is 50 minutes. Then the anglers rotate clockwise to the next hole. Beards Creek is somewhat different from the main lake, where grass lines in the early spring are key staging areas for largemouth bass. There's little, if any, grass beds in this creek. The key structure features are docks with man-made brush piles, rock, riprap, some underwater stumps, and floating docks. The time is late March, the pre-spawn early spawning stage. With water temperature in the creek in the low 60s, bass are cruising, looking for beds. However, bed fishing isn't a wise option in this tournament format. Often it takes more than the allotted 50 minutes per fishing hole to trigger a bass on the nest to take a lure. But as yet, Gary Klein hasn't even had the chance.
I'm running, trying to get the sunlight, looking for some spawning fish on these sun banks, and I haven't seen the first sign of anything yet.
Run and gun, cover the water. That's the obvious Megabucks tactic here in the creek. Mike Worm's using a noisy buzz bait with a copper-colored blade, and he's onto something. Normally, Robert Tucker is an offshore structures specialist, but for now, he's prowling the bank too.
Good Lord. Son. Come on, baby. I can get me a limit right here, right in there. Gosh, nice. Gosh, dang it. I'm about out of time here. I'll talk to y'all in a minute. I got to get these fish right now.
Tell us what's happening here.
Well, they must have a wad of bait back here in the back, and they're eating. There's enough. That's big. Big. Oh, yeah, that's one I need right there. I'm all right. I got him, man. I got him. That's a striper. God dang it.
Tough luck, Robert. Striped bass don't count in this tournament. Defending champion Tommy Biffle hasn't had things go well either. 0 keeper largemouth bites. Could be the luck of the draw. Biffle's fishing the hole behind Basil Bacon. Both anglers favor the flippin' technique.
Got him that time. Got him that time. Let's see what now.
With mega dollars on the line, Claude Fishburn's all business.
That's a good one. I think he came off. Oh, I hate when that happens.
All business? With fish, that's all monkey business. Robert Tucker has changed tactics. He's using a scaled-down version of the crankbait that produced so many bass in the qualifying rounds.
Easy, baby. We're going to take real... Uncle Ray wants to see you today.
Hey, Robert, why downsize from the little end that works so well to a smaller, deep-lip baby end?
Well, mainly because of pressure. It's something Rick Clun taught me years ago, that when you get in an area that has lots of pressure, fishing pressure, in small areas, scale down your baits. It's just, you get more bites on a smaller bait. It's kind of like going a lighter line in super clear water. I've learned so much over the years from Rick, growing up around him and guiding on the same lake, and just little tips he's told me over the years. I just stashed everything he's ever told me away, because everything he tells you, you better listen. Kind of like E.F. Hutton, when Rick speaks, you better listen.
Bass fishing, a game of adjustment. Megabucks, a tournament where if you don't adjust, you'll be fishing used water. With a 50-minute time limit per hole, most top 10 finalists fish the bank. But Robert Tucker's different.
That's a big one right there now. Oh, yeah, that's a good son of a gun right there. Easy, baby. Easy, 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 easy. Easy, baby. Come around. Got him. Right.
Fishing structure off the shoreline is working for Robert Tucker. For Terry Baxay, doing something different is working.
I'm trying for just reaction strikes. It's something I do at home quite a bit. This is my #1 smallmouth bait at home. And I learned that all I'm doing is getting a reaction strike. And most of the bites that I'm getting on this bait are big. It's more of a ripping method. We call it sweeping at home. Basically, I'm moving the bait about 5-6 feet through the water with each sweep.
But Basil Bacon still dancing with the lure that got him here. A half-ounce black and chartreuse colored jig with a plastic crawworm or pork rind trailer.
That's a good fish. Oh, I got a good bite on him. That's a good fish. Stay down. Stay down. About 5. Go about 5.
Basil's keying on obvious targets. Docks with man-made brush piles.
That'll call. That'll call. Oh, yeah. You betcha. That'll call. Now I got maybe 14 or 15 pounds. Coffee time! So this little bitty went out.
What's the deal, Basil? You're shaking.
That's 58 years old. Ain't got nothing to do with the fish.
Sure, but even the old pros get nervous at Megabucks. There are big bucks on the table and a big crowd on hand at the South Carolina Fairgrounds in Columbia for the top 10 weigh-in. Connecticut's Terry Baxay checks in a 5 bass limit and 15 pounds 8 ounces to grab the lead by 1 pound over Robert Tucker of Texas. Terry's big jerkbait technique sure works. This 6-pound 6-ounce lunker is proof, worth a $1,000 big bass bonus. But that's just the tune-up for the main act, the Basil Bacon Show.
Now that's 3 people. The key to it now is having 2 more bass. If he gets 2 more respectable bass, they don't want to be that good. Oh! Big damn right. Folks, this is what it's about. Oh! Folks, this is very critical. 5 bass. 23 pounds and 6 ounces. Boom! There you are. There is $1 million.
Basil Bacon, the old pro. 25 years of riding the tournament trail pays off with a record-size Megabucks catch. 23 pounds, 6 ounces, and almost an 8-pound lead. Terry Baxay's in second with 15 pounds, 8 ounces. Don't go away. The Bassmasters will be right back with the final round of Megabucks 95. Megabucks 95, 10 holes to play. Basil Bacon owns a commanding 7-pound, 14-ounce lead. Today, conditions favor his flippin' technique. Bright, clear skies, locking the bass on cover. Water temperature in Beards Creek is almost 62 degrees, warming steadily in late March. However, bed fishing has not been a factor so far. Sight fishing. That's one thing Claude Fish Fishburne gets serious about. How's it going, Fish?
One nice one about that long.
Besides the 50-minute time limit per hole, there's another problem for would-be sight fishermen. Floating pine tree pollen makes it difficult to spot the spawners. However, this could work to Fishburne's advantage. Others are overlooking the shallow fish.
Very nice presentation. Did you notice the technique involved? Thank you. The strategy here today is to catch one fish per hole. That's all you need, one fish per hole. The problem is they need to weigh about, 7 to 8 pounds apiece. And they're probably not gonna. But I'm just trying to catch a keeper in every hole. And the more sunlight, the better.
Mike Worms had success with a buzzbait bite, but he's using a 1-2 lure presentation. This bass wanted a soft plastic floating worm. Terry Baxay in second place has put aside his big 6-inch jerkbait. He's throwing soft plastic. A game of adjustments, bass fishing. Sometimes it's a puzzle. Today, Basil Bacon is struggling.
I'm absolutely not getting a strike today. I don't know what's the matter with him.
Gary Klein may have the best explanation.
Yeah, I'm fishing behind 9 vacuum cleaners.
Fish Fishburne's using a G3 tube lure designed by Guido Hibden, the guru of sight fishing. He's been working this bass for over 40 minutes, and the clock is ticking.
Nice one. Stud, 2-pounder, thank you.
6 days, Megabucks 95 is finally going into the record books. The 10th Megabucks will be remembered for its highlights and surprises. For sure, the turnaround fortunes of Basil Bacon. Yesterday's unbeatable leader checks in with only a 2-pound bass. Smiling Robert Tucker has an ear-to-ear grin with the daily big bass, 6 pounds, 10 ounces. But he comes up short. Jimmy Houston makes a charge from 9th place with the final round's best creel of 17 pounds. But it, too, is short of the mark.
Our winner is Fish Fishburne, the man from Georgia. Congratulations to Fish.
Fish Fishburne, the Megabucks 95 champion. Hey, dude, how about that Team Grandma? Seriously, no joke. Claude Fish Fishburne has won it, jumping from 7th place with 16 pounds, 10 ounces. His winning score, 27 pounds, 7 ounces. Hey, Grandma, let's drink to it. The final standings. Robert Tucker finishes second, 2 pounds behind Claude Fishburne. Basil Bacon slips to third, followed by Mike Worm and Jimmy Houston. Defending champion Tommy Biffle ranks 6th. Gary Klein, Scott Martin, Terry Baxay, and Clark Wendelin round out the top 10. Right now, it's time for the Pros Pointer, the how-to section of the Bassmasters. Brought to you by Wrangler Rugged Wear, geared for the outdoors.
When you're combing the shallows looking for fish that you can see, it's imperative that you have the right tools. You also need to have the right attitude. When you go in the shallow water, you need to be quiet. You need to have a variety of equipment as far as rods, reels, and lures. And you also need to have confidence, because the problem with sight fishing is if you can see the fish, he can see you. But don't let that discourage you. Go in there and give it a rip. Here's some lures that we use right here. You have a 4-inch ringworm, a 4-inch razor worm, a crawfish imitation, a G3 and a G4 tube lures, and a grub. Here you have the hooks and the weights that's necessary in rigging them. If you'll be persistent and if you'll take some time, learn to cast accurately, and be patient, you'll be successful.
Next week, the Bassmasters follow the pros north to Lake Minnetonka for the Bassmaster Minnesota Top 100. You'll learn a lesson in catching bass in the grass and see firsthand one of the best bass fisheries around, right on the outskirts of Minneapolis. Join us for all the action right here on TNN Outdoors. The Bassmasters has been brought to you by Ranger Boats, still building legends one at a time. Zebco Quantum, the top names in fishing. Storm Lures, quality lures for taking the big ones by storm. Lubramatic, we work weekends. Chevy Trucks, the most dependable, longest-lasting trucks on the road. Motor Guide, the choice of serious fishermen. Berkeley Trilene, America's #1 selling fishing line. Jerseys, American Activewear. Wrangler Rugged Wear, geared for the outdoors. And the Bass Angler Sportsman Society, the world's largest bass fishing organization.
He used to say that I was the wind beneath his wings. Today, he's the wind beneath my wings.
All right!
Isn't that sweet?
Grandma, you're something else.
Well, fish is something else, too. I'm glad now that I could put up with him this long. He didn't